Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, evening, wherever you're watching from or you've connected from. I must say that I'm humbled to be here. Thank you, Margaret, I think, and then the whole EFeMS team for being the first male speaker to address your wonderful audience. I feel very humbled, and basically, that's what I want to say to begin with. I don't have much time to delve, do justice to this particular topic, but the few moments we have, I believe that I can say something that can challenge you or help you chart your course for 2024. So without much ado, and all protocols observed, I want to go right into the presentation.
Great.
Wonderful. Great. So yeah, today we're supposed to be talking about career planning and development, right? I have a few things to discuss. We might not necessarily do everything. I usually like to be thorough in my preparation because sometimes questions pop up out of nowhere. And I also understand that sometimes the slides are shared. So just in case I'm unable to delve into every single detail in the overview, once the slides are shared, you can have access to it and just look at it, basically. I have a question. Are you currently the architect of your career, or are you just a worker at the construction site? Basically, what I'm trying to ask is, are you, a visionary, or you are just taking instructions, right? Many of us like to, classify ourselves as career people. Usually it's how I see it is that we just, especially from where I'm from and in Africa that I'm at, a lot of people just land opportunities, basically we're looking for jobs, and then, because we need to fend for ourselves, we find, some one or two things here to do, and then we just jump into, we call it a career, right? But I've come to realize that career is more personal, it's more tailored towards your interest, your vision, your goal as a person. So that's why I'm asking this question, right? I don't know if I'm allowed to engage with you because I like to be very interactive. If anybody, maybe in the comment section, because of time, just let me know what you're doing. We can, we can talk from there. I just want to build on some of the examples you give me to be able to address this clearly. So if you can let me know maybe what you do in the comment section, whether you're a scientist, you're a professor, you're a lecturer, you're a footballer, maybe you're passionate about STEM, but you're a footballer. That's also nice. I'm quite interested in hearing what you have to say. So I'll be looking at the comment section as we speak. Okay, I think it's Anna Ampao. Okay, great. Anyways, until then, let me just go ahead. So yeah, my slides just have it that like I'm indicating, scientist, pharmaceutical rep, beautiful. Then the next question would be that, did you choose this career path, or for some reason life just bundled you and put you in the pharmaceutical space? Jennifer, you're a banking and a chartered accountant. I also want to find out if that was the choice you made growing up, or it's something that's, again, life just bundled you and placed you in. You can just say yes or no in the comment section. Let's kickstart. Right, great. So basically, in the career space, I've worked for almost 6 years now, building startups and building teams as well. I have realized that you are the most responsible person for shaping your own future, right? Sometimes we just tend to toe the line due to where we're coming from, sometimes our parents, very little to do with our interests. So this question is supposed to challenge you to know if you actually have control over your career, or you just landed into something that, pays the bills, takes care of the home, somewhat fulfilling, but, that's not exactly what you want to do. So I'm just here to, just trigger your thoughts, basically, to see if you are in a right path. And it's not too late to change. It's not too late to, change your course to do something that you actually want to do. Because the term career is something that has to do with it's a personal thing. It's a personal statement. It's not just, I'm doing something to just make money. So yeah, that's just about it. So I said that career development is a proactive process where you can design your own blueprint for success. It is your responsibility to design your own blueprint for success. Again, my question is a food for thought. I leave the dishes for you to clean afterwards, right? So what is career development, right? Career development basically is planning, right? A strategic process for either yourself or for a company. Sometimes, and having run a few companies myself, I have a particular path for how I want my team to grow. Hence, the question I asked in the beginning, whether you're a visionary or you're just following someone's path. Chances are you have people also, towing their career in your direction because you're a leader. So I'm also saying that for organizations as well, there's a need for you to also have a career path based on the actual results you want to see after a period of time with your team. So this is supposed to help you chart a particular course for the professional growth of your company, yourself, or your team, right? And the end goal is success, right? It serves as a room to guide people towards their journey to achieve their career goals and aspirations. Again, it's personal. Not just about the bills, but it's personal. So you can see that in my reason for defining career development, I'm looking at number one, personal fulfillment. Of course, in our part of the world, is a huge boost for personal fulfillment, right? But yeah, beyond that, after the money, what next? I know people who wake up in the morning and they struggle to go to work. They are paying huge sums of money, but they don't find excitement in what they're doing. So are you fulfilled personally? In the banking you're doing, the pharmaceutical space that you're doing, are you fulfilled personally? Right? Number two, does it help your professional development? It's supposed to help you grow professionally, right? Number three, is it increase job satisfaction, especially for an organization. If you have a career path for your staff or for your team, they are much more satisfied working with you. They are much more at peace, at ease, wanting to work with you. Even if salaries delay, they are willing to work with you. Number four, adaptability. Times change, people change, ecosystems change, right? So you have to have a path for your team and for yourself that as times change, as the world changes, you are able to adapt to it properly as you go along. And then number five, most people don't talk about this when it comes to career development, but I'm very particular about it. It's self-reflection. At the end of all this, right, if you have a path to your career development, you are able to spend some time to reflect, that this helps you to take stock of your life. As a Christian, I want to quote this songwriter. It says that, count your blessings, name them one by one, then you will see what the Lord has done. Many a times we don't get to count the blessings that we receive every day in, day out. But the songwriter said that, sit down, count them. It means that when you self-reflect, when you take time to reflect on what has gone on in your life, you realize that there's been something good. In the same vein, I'm taking that same analogy and saying that as you develop yourself in your career, take time as part of the benefits to reflect, to see whether you're growing or not. And all this can also come through the career path journey. So you have to take the time to be able to do that. So these are my 5 significant, or maybe importances of career development. Personal fulfillment, which is 1, professional growth, increase your satisfaction for your team and even for yourself. 4, adaptability, and then number 5, self-reflection. So now let's look at the process of career development. Most of us have done this many times. I'm not here to bore you with definitions and all of those things. I'm just here to share experiences with you, because I realize that a lot of us are, we've been working for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, 8 years. These are things that maybe your company even gives you aptitude tests to take and all that. So you are quite familiar with this. So I just want to share a different perspective with you, and I hope it challenges you. Again, it's personal, right? So my first thing is self-assessment. When was the last time you took, and you can comment, put it in the comment section, you took maybe a day in the week to reflect on yourself, for that particular week. I know some of us are married with kids, you have a company to run, you have bosses to respond to. So you can comment in the comment section, right? When was the last time you took time, right? To, in a week to say, I'm giving myself 1 hour to just think through my life? Anybody? If yes, just say yes in the comment section. Hey, Margaret, your people are not talking, no. Can
They will
anybody?
do the Q&As.
Oh, someone said last week Tuesday. That's good.
Wow,
That's
impressive.
really good. Anna, thank you, Anna. I like your sincerity. You've not done that in a while. Great. Margaret, you don't remember. You don't remember. Okay, that's good. But the question then becomes that you realize that you think more about others than you think about yourself. As much as it is a great thing to think about other people, right? I give you a Nobel Peace Prize for that. You do well thinking about your family, your colleagues, your friends. When was the last time you sat down in your career path to think about yourself? Sometimes even with our jobs, we have a plan that, oh, I'm going to be an MD, I'm going to be a CEO. Again, we are just thrown into that direction. It's not something that we genuinely want to do growing up. So this particular masterclass is supposed to help you think for yourself along. I want you to be selfish a little, just be a little bit selfish along your career path. Number one, I want you to identify or discover skills that you don't think you have. I don't mean skills you just learned in the university as a chartered accountant, as a pharmacist, as a doctor, as a nurse. But beyond that, what other skill sets do you have, right? That you think can enhance your career. And again, I said career is personal. It's not just something you're thrown into, something that you really, really want to do and benefit from it, to help you grow and grow your profession as well. So I want you to think through it, right? We're going to have the practical session, but these are questions that I'm going to be asking you in the practical session. So just take notes, okay? That's you skills that you think you have that you've not tapped into, which is beyond maybe your course of study in school. Number two, that was going to help you to know your interest, right? Somebody once asked me, what makes you interesting? And I told the person, interest makes you interesting, right? It's like going on a date with someone and you tell the person that, it's like the whole conversation is, how are you? They say, I'm fine. How was your night? It was good. Have you eaten? I'm not. It gets boring. You can't do that for 30 years. For those of you married, I'm not sure we're having this conversation with your husband for 30 years or 15 years or 10 years. It gets boring. But maybe you like football, you like women empowerment, you like to STEM. There are things that go beyond the conversation of, how are you and how you're. In the same vein, have you sat down to think about the other interests that you have? What makes you tick? Because mind you, your interest makes you interesting. There's this statement that career people are boring because it's always about work, 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 work. Fact of the matter is, most people also have other interests that can actually bolster or boost their careers, but they're not tapping into it, right? So this is just supposed to help you think through it. What other interests that you have, do you have that you're not thinking about? Number three, what are your values? At the end of it all, ethics matter. You can't say your interest is in killing people, or your interest is in what do you call it? Just sleeping all day. I mean, or your values. It doesn't make sense. They are not values that can build anybody else, right? So your value has to have some level of ethics to it that helps the general public, or someone can look at that and say, I can learn from it, I can do this from it. So what are your values? Someone will say, my value is integrity. I find that in many companies in Africa, with the work I do, most companies that we bid for or come to us to look for research opportunities for them, they send their profiles, and you see in their profiles, they have integrity, they have perseverance, and then you look at how they do business and realize that it's completely different. So in the same vein, you might also say that these are your values, but you don't actually believe in them because it's something that we all say is nice. But do you actually believe in them? So I'm going to ask you this. Note them down as well. I'm going to ask you in the practical session. What are your values? What can we see about Margaret and say we can attach this to Margaret? What can we see about Anna and say we can attach this to Anna? If you know Anna, you know this about Anna, right? That's something I want you to think about. Number two, goal setting. Short term, long term. I know people say midterm. I don't really believe in the midterm kind of thing, personally. I'm so sorry. I believe we do reflection and we correct and we continue to grow. So I don't believe personally in the midterm. I believe in short-term, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound goals. Short-term, like the timeline to it. Then there's a long-term where if you're not getting around it, you can then structure your way through, and that's what people call midterm goals. But I personally believe that it's a restructuring or something that changes your direction, changes your course as you go along. So I stick to the old. I'm an old person, even though I look very young. I grew up with old people in my home, so I've learned from them. So I believe in the short term and the long term goals. Simple as that, right? Number 3, skills development. Sorry about my typo. Training. I believe that he who stops learning, becomes very stagnant. Okay, you're not beneficial to anybody, nor even to yourself. My father ever told me that if you want to know how poverty looks like, stop learning for 5 years. Come back in 5 years and you realize that the world has gone way ahead. And you realize that even though you have some money, you are actually poor because your mind is porous. You have no new information, right? So I believe in training. I believe in capacity building as an individual. Most of us are so interested in training others. We don't train ourselves. We think we know so much. We don't train others. We don't train ourselves. And I think that is a sign of pride. You're not going to go far. I also believe in education, and education is not just going to get a degree, but also learning from others that are ahead of you or those who will be underneath you. There are things they can tell you that can help you in your career development. And then number 3, seeking learning opportunities, right? Then networking, my favorite, networking. In all this, number 1, number 4 are my favorite, especially in our day-to-day, right? How are you building professional relationships? There's an African adage that says that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with others, right? And there's another one that says that a young man can climb to the highest mountain, but he will never see what an old man sees when he's sitting at the base of the mountain, right? So it means that there's the opportunity to learn from others that are ahead of you, learn from people that are willing to go with you, people that can transform your life just by being in the same room with them or being in the same space with them. So it is very important that as an individual, you learn to build your professional relationships. That's very key for me. Then the last one is implementation. After all these things, are you taking action towards them, right? Especially if you go into 2024, what are you going to do? And we're going to tap into it briefly. So self-assessment, right? The first thing for me is, how are you assessing your values? Values are deeply ingrained principles that guide your choices and actions. Again, they are deeply ingrained principles that guide your choices and your actions. Take this from me. This is how I see how values are created in people. Be careful of your environment. Be careful of what you hear. Be careful of what enters into you, right? I say this: words produces thoughts. Thoughts produce feelings. Feelings drive actions. Actions over time becomes habits. Habits over time becomes a character. And once you know someone's character, you know their value. So it's a chain reaction. It starts from words. For instance, if I ask, have you seen the lady in the red dress? Chances are you've not seen anybody in a red dress, but immediately your mind has gone to somebody in a red dress. Immediately, in a split second, you've seen a figure in a red dress, right? Imagine I keep repeating that to you. You would definitely believe that there's actually somebody in a red dress being here, right? That's how we hypnotize people. Keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and then they tend to believe it. It's like a man telling a woman, most of the women here, when you saw your husband or your beloved for the first time, I'm not sure you like the person. Oh, this is the person I want to marry. Maybe some of you, it wasn't the case. But the person had to continue talking to you, showing you his character, telling you, oh, I like you. I see you here, and I see you here with me. I'm going here, you're traveling with me. And then you sit back, you think about it, you see Disney, you see yourself in Santorini, you see yourself in Venice, chilling, enjoy your honeymoon, and you realize that, oh, I love this person. Then you start reciprocating that love towards the person. And the person was just talking to you, right? So in the same vein, if you want to know how to create value for yourself or to know the kind of values you have, be careful what you hear. Be careful what you put into yourself. Because that thing will start giving you feelings. And it start giving you feelings, you start acting in that direction. And over time, you will believe that that is who you are. Or that's what you represent. Or that's what represents you, I should say. So be quite careful about what you put into you. And you can change your values. I believe you can change your values because environments change. As you go along, you can change your values to adapt to the environment you're in. So this is very important for me, that you pay attention to the right stuff to help you identify the kind of value that you want to create or you want people to know you for. So you are what you pay attention to, basically, right? So by pinpointing your values, you can make the choices again to align with your personal integrity and ensure a sense of purpose and fulfillment in your life. Number 2, assess your interest. Identify your interest. Again, I said interest makes you interesting. And interest starts by desire. You have to desire to know something. Then the interest comes, right? So it's not just, oh, I have interest in this. It starts with desire. What do you desire? What are you looking forward to? Maybe you are desiring to be an astronaut, or you want to change from being a pharmacist to a project manager. You have to desire. And in desiring, you have to seek knowledge, right? Recognize the activities, the subjects or hobbies that genuinely engage and excite you. My mother was a kindergarten school teacher. She says that if you see a child drawing, and that's all he does, by the time he's 50, no matter if he's a banker, he will end up drawing. He will end up being a painter. Why? Because he likes it. He likes it. And these are things my mother has said several times. I realized that when I was in kindergarten, I used to talk a lot, right? I believe that I'm not a talkative, right? I want to believe I'm not a talkative. But recently, my mom just picked up my, in Ghana, we have your terminal report, and your term report, which is every 3 months. Your teacher there's a section where your teacher writes comments. Oh, good in class, likes talking in class, likes this. Most of the teachers that taught me from kindergarten to class 6 wrote in there that I like talking in class. So it is not news that I'm public speaking today. I'm doing public speaking today. Why? It's something that I used to do. I was a nuisance back in the day, but by the grace of God, I've been able to harness it and hone it to become something that is beneficial to my career as a person, as an individual. So something that started as a hobby or something like is as a nuisance to people, actually has become an opportunity for me to be a blessing to other people and for me as well. So don't discard these things. Don't discard your desires. Don't discard things that make you, interesting. Discover those things, identify those and discover them. As you go to 2024, reflect. What are some of the things that I think I can do that can enhance my professional development, basically? Number 5, your skills. There are hard skills and soft skills. Of course, hard skills are, any course that you take that, enhances your growth. Like, maybe coding, project management, the whole thing. I mean, you are professionals, you know what I'm talking about. Be also very careful about your soft skills. I realized that a lot of corporate people, I think nowadays most HR companies are hiring HR firms to handle this for their teams, is that most people lack interpersonal skills, right? And these are soft skills that you need. Where the world is going to. Recently, I saw an ad from Nextford University online, and I think they are predicting that in 2035, one of the skills that is going to be in demand is empathy. And I was like, but empathy is inherent. Why do I have to teach somebody to be empathetic? Apparently, it's going to be in demand because research has that human beings are becoming more and more selfish, more and more robots. It's all about the money, and we are not being empathetic towards ourselves. So there's a whole study on it that is going to be taught in the university to teach people how to be empathetic, amazingly enough. And these are soft skills that you don't necessarily need a degree to do. You can hone it as you go along. So these are things you should look at, right? And one of the things to also help you know yourself is to take a test to identify if you are actually who you think you are. You know, sometimes we believe we are certain kinds of people, but we actually aren't. And I found two online tools that I have personally used over time to help me do this. And the first one I would recommend is 16personalities.com. It helps you with your soft skills. Like, it helps you know who you are, your psychology. There are questions that will ask you to make you think about your life and the trajectory you are taking for your life. So I want to recommend 16%. There are a lot of them, but these are my two go-to websites to help me, you know, every time harness my my capacity to grow. So 16 personalities, and then Career Explorer. That one is more professional, your skill set, more for the hard skills bit of things and what you want to get out of the profession you are in, basically. So Career Explorer, 16 personalities, these are places that, or things that I want you to be particular about. Can you hear me? Okay, I think you can hear me. Can anybody hear me? I don't know. Can anybody hear me? Because it's a bit quiet.
Loud and clear. Be rest assured.
Wonderful, wonderful, great. So these two sites, I think you can try them. 16 personalities, very interesting. Careers are very interesting as well. Now goal setting. Yeah, this wonderful lady behind the picture, she's just behind a laptop writing something very nice. Forgive me for if I see a lot of African women in the I'm a Black person. I like my African heritage. So you see a lot of African, for all the other races, you're welcome. But I'm African. I'm a proud one of that. So I mean, when it comes to goals, we know this specific, measurable, realistic, time bound. These are things we know. But somebody once asked me, how specific is your specific? And I was like, So it was like, you say you're setting a goal. How specific? You know, there are always questions you can ask yourself to, you know, be a little bit more specific about your goals as you set them. You know, something like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. When? Where? How? What is the process? Like, these are questions that you keep asking yourself to make sure that you have some very specific. So one thing I want to leave you with is that as you go along in setting up your goals, keep asking yourself this question: how specific is my specific? It's going to help you to be a little bit more specific, a little bit more deeper in what you're trying to do. So keep asking yourself that question as you set your goal: that how specific is my specific? Number two, measurable. What ruler, what measuring tape are you using to measure your goals? Okay. What tools are you using to measure your goals? Are they even measurable at all? Oh, I want to marry by age 25. What goes into it? I want to build a house by age 35 or 40. How are you measuring that? What tools are you putting in place to be able to measure those things, right? And we're going to get into it as we go along. Attainable. Are they realistic? Are you going to be able to get them done, right? Can you achieve them? Oh, I want to go to Mars. Yet you have just about $100,000 in your account, or even less. Right now, I realize I heard that the SpaceX, what Elon is building, they are building like a tourist space shuttle to space, and it's about $1 million, or they've already built, right? It's about $1 million per seat, right? And I'm wondering, if you have $100,000, do you think it's attainable to, you know, set such a goal? You know, how realistic is your goal? You know, can people relate with it? Can you yourself relate with it? You know, these are things that you need to think about, right? And then, are they time bound? What is the timeline that I can come back and say in 5 years, oh, you did this, or in 2 years you did this? The reason why we say those things is that if you don't add the SMART principle, you just have a dream. And dreams without a plan are just dreams. They're not going to happen. It's not going to work, right? So you need to have these things in place. We've heard it over and over again, but I just want to, I wish you hear me with the little nuggets, the things I'm saying surrounding it. Again, how specific is your specific? What tools are you using to measure it? How attainable is it? When it comes to realistic, my other form of realistic is how relatable. Can it be relatable? Can somebody just take it and say, I can equally do this as well? That's what realistic means. That somebody can take it and actually do it. You know, it's not just you. So that when we are dead and gone, your child can or your subordinates can get it done. That's also realistic. So that in the event where you are incapacitated, somebody else can get it done. That's realistic, right? It has to be relatable. It shouldn't just be in your mind and you think, as for you, you are Superman, you are Superman, you are part of the Avengers, so you can do it on your own. In the event when you die, your goals mean nothing because nobody else can take it and run it for you. That's where the organizational part of things come in. So that when you are not available, somebody can jump in and get it done for you, right? Then time bound. There has to be a specific time to it that we can look at and say, okay, it can be done, it can't be done. What can we do to change it as we go along? Then let's come to short-term and long-term goals. So this is typically 1 to 3 years. I've seen people say, oh, I have a short-term goal, it's 6 months. That is a very, 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 very short-term goal, which is good. But for your career, ideally, it has to take you for like more than a year, between 1 and 3 years. Because the assumption is that you have work, you have family, you have other competing tasks that, you know, we call them conflicting interests. That will take your time. So the realistic short-term goal should be within 1 to 3 years. So that with all your conflicting tasks and conflicting interests, you are still able to achieve them. If you say 6 months, you want to do something in 6 months, fine. And it's at the detriment of your family, it's at the detriment of your loved ones, it's at the detriment of your mental health, then there's a problem, right? I'm looking at a holistic approach to helping you develop yourself properly. So it's supposed to be within 1 to 3 years. So next for 2024, as you're planning for 2024, maybe there's a course you want to take, there's something you want to do, yes, but it shouldn't be at the detriment of other things surrounding you. So typically, we are looking at it within 1 to 3 years as a short-term goal, which is going to add to your growth, your finances, and your overall value as a person. Then, of course, the long-term goals, that's why I didn't put anything in the middle, is 3 to 10 years. Some people write long-term goals from 10 years to 20 years. So I ask, between 3 and 7, what happens? Right? After the 3 years, you are able to then determine that, okay, I can go on a marathon. You've done the sprint. Now I can train myself for the marathon. So you're looking at 3 to 10 years or even more for your long-term goals. And these are attainable. Again, not at the detriment of your overall well-being, right? Because your career is one aspect of you. It's not the only thing that makes you you. So think about that. So I just shared a few examples here. What do you call it? Hello? I'm hearing someone's dinner or lunch in the background. God bless you. So some of the examples. Okay, I want to attain a senior management role within the next 2 years. That is specific, right? Because in the specificity, you mentioned exactly what you want to do, and then the period with which you want to get it done, right? There's no how in there, but it's specific. So the measurable will help you understand the how. So number 2, I want to increase my annual salary by 15% in the next 3 years. This is a measurable goal. Why? Because you can look at where you want to go vis-a-vis where you are from. So maybe you are earning $10,000 a month. You want to increase it by 15%. Because you want to measure it, you calculate how to get there. How much money you would need to make it 15%. Anything that makes you think helps you. Not in the wrong way, but in a positive way. Number 3, I want to become a team leader within the next 18 months. You see, they are very specific. They are very similar, but you can see that in all of these things, you are seeing the specificity of it, the measurability of it, the time boundedness of it. Then the last one is complete a relevant certification in my field within the next year. That's attainable, right? So next year, I want to, because attainable because it's already in your field. It's not something that is beyond your field. You're already doing it. So maybe you are a project manager and you want to add another level to it altogether. You are a pharmacist, you want to add another level to it altogether. It's very attainable. Why? Because you're in the field, you understand the nuances surrounding your ecosystem and how best to get the full benefits from it, right? My time is almost up, so I'm going to quickly rush through the next one. Skill development, quickly. Continuous learning. I believe in learning, Okay. So please make sure that you are taking online courses. So far, there are so many online courses, I can't even count. Recently, I read an article that shows that, and it's so shocking, that there are 98% drop rates from online courses. From Coursera to Coursera to EDX, we have 98% dropouts. Like people who start the courses and drop out, they don't finish them. 98%. So it makes me wonder, are we really learning? You see, and especially for our part of the world, we believe learning has to be in a four walls classroom. So we have a teacher talking to us. We are not as committed to an online program as much as we are to what do you call it? A four-wall room, which is shocking. But anyways, I want to give you guys props because you are here today. You are hearing me blab and talk for the next 20 minutes. And you being here, I think you should give that for yourselves. You can clap yourself in the comment section. It means that you're committed to learning for being here. I'm seeing actively 22 participants. You know, so I want to see 22 hands in the chat box, you know, to congratulate yourself for being part of this masterclass and helping to grow yourself. It means that you're committed to learning. You know, how many seminars do you attend in a year? I remember years ago, about 5 years ago, before, 7 years ago, before I moved to Kumasi, I had a mural of all the conferences I had attended, and then the tags that the identification tags that I had. So I had like a souvenir, and I put them all in, and I look at myself, I just look at them like, wow, I really attended these programs. And the purpose of it was to help me grow, for me to help me learn. Long story short, when I moved to Kumasi, my father bent it. He said it was garbage, so he bent it, right? But yeah, it reminded me of the fact that I'm committed to learning. I think it's something you can also do as you go for all these conferences. You are traveling, you attend these events and all that. You can, have something to make you realize that you've actually been to school. You've not just for the degree certificates, but those things also remind you of how committed you are to learning. Okay. Then there's also training and certification. You should, such as CompTIA. CompTIA is a very great platform for IT professionals. If you are here and you are into IT, I really recommend CompTIA for you. It's a great tool or certification tool for your professional growth, especially if you are looking to work with international organizations. These are some of the things that you look at in terms of your certification. So CompTIA is a great platform to learn. And then PMP. I have done my PMP. I think you should also, I believe everybody actually needs a PMP, to be honest. It gives you a holistic approach to running anything in your life, basically, right? Again, first aid, learning how to do first aid. Right now, thankfully, I'm learning DIYs as well. For instance, if something goes off in my house, how can I fix it? These things also save you money. They also add to your development. I believe it's in your interest. You can do it. Years ago, people thought carpenters and plumbers, and people still think about it in a part of the world that there is not a career path. Like it is for the dumb people. I have realized that they are actually engineers. They may not necessarily have the degrees, but they're the ones actually doing the engineering. They're the ones actually solving the problem, right? And nowadays, there's a lot of money in those spaces for such people, right? And I think it's something you can also look at. If your passion is also sewing, your passion is, doing something with your hands, you can also get the certification in it just to give you that level of credibility to be able to, monetize it and grow yourself, and then we help other people to do the same as well, right? And then PDPs, I call this PDPs are professional developmental plans. You have to have a plan in place. So it's just like the goal setting, but it's for your professional development. So there's a skill for professional development. You have to have PDPs in place to help you grow. That I have a plan for my professional development. It's not just a wish list, there's a plan for it. So as you set your goals, you also have a plan for your PDPs, right? So that's it. I'm just rushing through. And then, like I said, my personal favorite, I'm going to spend like 2 or 3 minutes here, or maybe 5. Number 1, don't be shy. I hear this a lot, especially for my female sisters. Oh, I don't want to talk to this person because I think she's in a different class. Oh, she won't have time for me. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, that. I don't think it's true. Don't be shy. I have seen this far too many times that I go for events and I see people who are bosses in their own companies and they want to talk to another person, and for some reason, it's either they feel too intimidated or too pompous to talk to the person. And I'm wondering, how does that work? Because you see, the lower you bend, the higher you jump. Networking has the ability to keep you humble. And as a Christian, I'll quote from the good book that God gives grace to the humble and resists the proud. I believe networking is a great opportunity to keep you humble. So what I live by is a quote that I say all the time, that the lower you bend, the higher you jump. If I put two people in front of you and I say that one person is bending and one person is standing, and I say they should both jump, who do you think will jump the highest? Before they jump, from the outside, you see the person who is standing looking like he's more comfortable. He looks all put together. He looks like he has the advantage. But if today I say, let's jump, the person who bends and jumps higher than the person who's already standing. So humility is key. I believe shyness can be tantamount to pride as well, because why can't you overcome your shyness to talk to somebody that you think can be beneficial to you? It's as though you are sick. You go to the hospital and you see the doctor and say, doctor, I'm too shy to tell you what is wrong with me. In Ghana, we say it's coffee, you go home and die, because the doctor doesn't know how to diagnose your problem. So I see shyness as tantamount to pride, because why can't you talk to somebody when you know that the person can be of a benefit to you? So in networking, I say, don't be shy. Number 2, establish and nurture relationships with colleagues. Colleagues are also important. Some of the people that have been of a great blessing to me have been former colleagues I've worked with. People who have even worked for me, right? I've never seen them as, subordinates only. I also see them as colleagues. Or I will tell you, anytime somebody comes, this person is my team, this person is my head. When I'm introducing an investor or a potential funder to them, I'm like, you talk. In as much as I know what to say, I believe once they communicate, it helps. And most times, what my colleagues have said to potential funders has been the reason why we've gotten funding in the past, right? So build good relationships with your colleagues. Have mentors. You can't do it alone. Even the Avengers, if you watch the Avengers, if you watch what do you call it, Infinity War, and then what's in the last one? Please, you can give me the last one. Those of you who like fiction movies, Marvel fans. I don't have any Marvel fans in the building. I like using illustrations. You can comment in the comment section. The last one, Endgame. Yes, Endgame. Someone has raised their hand. I'll call you shortly. Endgame. They all needed each other. You need mentors. You need industry peers. You need individuals. This helps you gain insights. It helps you with advice. It helps you with support in navigating your careers. Now, this is the trick for building your network. People think building your network just starts by talking to people. It's not true. The first thing is, number 1, be excellent. Be good at what you say you are doing. Be very good at it, because networking is an exchange of value. If the person you are going to talk to or network with cannot see any value in you, forget about it. It's not going to work. Networking is not just networking up. It's also networking down. So your value must be clear, and your value is tantamount to a level of excellence. So I always tell people I talk to, in any of the things the speaking I've done, when it comes to building your network, the first thing you need to do is to be excellent. Being the best you can be at whatever it is you are doing. I'm always trying to be the best at speaking or doing something that I'm very interested in. I'm always trying to be. And I struggle. Sometimes I might feel, as I'm even talking to you, some of you are not as excited as it is. I'll take the feedback. I'll take it in. I'll go and learn and become excellent for the next people I'll be talking to. Number 2, be intentional. You have to be intentional. Some people network by accident. It is okay for a while, but it will not take you far. Because if you're intentional, let me give you an example. For instance, by the grace of God, I've been able to visit 16 different countries. I have access to 16 countries, 14 of them are African countries. By the grace of God, I have access to high places in 14 of these countries. Why? I'm intentional. When I go and I find a person, I take a picture of the person because I know they may forget me, and I send them a message that, oh, I took this picture with you. Do you remember me? We had this and this and this conversation. Then they remember, oh, okay, this and this and this. And I'm okay. Then 2 months down, I'm like, oh, I need this from this particular person. Can you connect it to somebody? That's how it works. You have to be intentional. When you go for meetup events and all of those things, maybe next year, as you're going for meetup events, don't just take numbers. Don't just share cards. They will forget. Have you ever shared your business card with somebody and the person has not called you before, texted you before? Can I see any people in the comment section saying yes or no to it? Have you ever said hi to somebody, you know, oh, this person is going to be a great change for my company. My company is going to move from one level to another. And it didn't happen. Let me see in the comment section. Let me see. Oh, Marcus said many times. Yeah. People forget. People forget. Because the number one rule of networking, for instance, I have never signed a business deal at a networking event. It never works. So what I do is that at the networking event, I make you be for me. So maybe that's where your interest comes in, right? Maybe you like football, you like music, you like, you know, I'm a classical person. I'm a Handels person. I like Handels. I like Pachelbel. You know, these are the kind of songs I listen to. I'm a 1970s person, Dolly Parton, Tina Turner, Kool and the Gang, Kenny Rogers, Commodores, you know, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson. These are my guys. So when I go to an event where, you know, they have big people, when I go, I'm not talking about Shatawale and what do you call it, Sarkozy. They don't know, they don't care about those people. You know, they're looking at songs like Osibisa, what do you call it, Hugh Masekela, Fela Kuti. These are the things that they are used to. So I'm intentional about it. Thankfully, I had a father who taught me how to love these songs. So it has helped me so greatly. So when I meet with these people, these are the conversations we have. Oh, I heard this song. How does it make you feel? How did I listen to the song? And how did I listen to it? So we build a connection, a human connection. Then I take pictures with them. And I go, I'm going to reach out to you one of these days. So I make them feel special before I leave them. Maya Angelou once said that people don't remember what you tell them. They always remember how you make them feel. The ladies here, am I right? You are with who you are with, or you like the person you like because of how they made you feel, not because of what they told you.
Very true.
Is it true?
Very true.
Exactly. So it means that in your networking, don't be interested in pitching. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No. The first thing is make them feel important. Make them feel good, and they will not forget you. How you make them feel at that networking event is so important. So you don't talk to everybody at a networking event. Not everybody will remember you. So the next thing I said, be strategic. You are very particular. There are some certain events before I go, I have done my research about who and who is coming. I have read about the work they've done, what they are doing for. And when I go and separate them. I tell them all the nice things. Oh, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. And it inspired me. It did this and da. Now they are interested in me. Then I take a picture with them. When I go back, I send them a message. You remember we had this conversation about this and this and this. Okay, that is it. It works. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you've ever watched this movie before. What do you call it? Is that Crazy Rich Asians? If you watch it, let me see your hand. Oh yes, I'm a Ghanaian. Sepe, Sepe Ogankasa. Rosemont, thank you. Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians. So remember during the wedding scene, which is one of my favorite parts of the movie. The professor networked with the queen. There was a particular queen that came for the event. I don't know if you remember that particular scene, right? And nobody could sit with her because apparently she was so high and mighty. And of course, this professor too has already been disregarded by the guy's family. But she had read the woman's book to the point that when she sat by the woman, even though the woman was uncomfortable to begin with, she started separating the woman. She was telling her all the night, oh, your book inspired me. It did this for me. That alone gave her access to the woman, and she sat with the woman throughout the ceremony. Something the rich people couldn't even do. Do you understand? So you have to be strategic. You have to be intentional and be conversational. Some of us are so boring. Oh, you are so boring. All you know is, hey, and how's your company? That is it. It is done. You can't talk about their family. You can't talk about their wives. You can't talk about their husbands. You can't talk about their kids. You can't talk about their food. Whatever. You don't know how to even look at what their interests are. because you yourself, you don't have interest. You don't have interest. You are so boring. You will not move. You can't move. You shan't move. You are just pillar. Oh, I'm not coming for you. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you, Nana. Right? So you should be able to be conversational. You see, you don't always, I get it. People are trying to be more careful, but you don't always also speak English. One of the things I realized that, especially when I travel, I like to learn the local language. See, you are not Queen Elizabeth. You don't know English more than the English people. You are African. Try and learn other people's culture. It makes you interesting. You are not teasing them. It just makes you interesting. You have more to talk about if you try learning somebody else's culture. For example, one of my favorite places in Ghana is in the north, Garu Timpani. I don't know anything about Garu, but anytime I go there, I'm always interested. Even the way the women dance alone. Trust me, if I go to Garu Timpani right now, I will not be hungry because they know where to take you to, where to go, what to do. Like you are treated like a king. Why? Because you are interested in their culture. Some of us, when we go to certain places, we are the queen. We are Queen Elizabeth. We walk majestically. We hold your glass of wine as if, who will talk to you? Who will really be interested to talk to you? Exactly. You are losing your mother tongue. You are a Ghanaian. You don't know Chi. You don't know Gan. You don't know Eve. You don't know anything. All you know is in. Hey, at the way you walk. Are you a snake? You are swallowing. What? Are you a snake? Learn to speak local languages. Learn to speak other things. It makes you interesting. People tend to, connect with you, be with you. They tend to relate with you. I got one of the very first deals I ever signed was because I spoke Gan. And I went to Tema. I was working with Pickett, Fun Nice at the time. Right? And I went to Tema. They were looking to build a site for waste pickers. And they wanted the people to give us the land for free because it was a social work. Right? It was a social work. And how are we going to get the land? They only for a Ghana. So they said, oh, Maurice, you're a Ghana. You speak Ghana very well, so come. So then I went. Oh, I spoke my Ghana. I said everything. I knew about the history of the Ghana. The chief was so impressed. He said, there's this land by the Samgata, somewhere. It's not being used properly. We'll clear the place. They cleared everything for us for free. Why? Because I knew how to speak Ghana. Some of you don't know how to speak your local language. Even when you're speaking the local language, you add English to it. Hey, the only people that make it, that do it and it's so nice is the Fantis. Apart from the Fantis, I don't know why you speak Igbe and add English. I don't know why you speak Awuza and add English. I don't know why you speak Ga and add English. It is not sexy. You are not fancy. Even the Fantis, they are trying to take the English out of it. So please, be conversational, okay? Attend industry events. Some of you, you don't go anywhere. You criticize everything. When they say award ceremonies, you will not go. Yet you will criticize it. This person didn't deserve it. Hey, your destiny helper is in that award ceremony. You will be shocked. The person to take you to your next level will be at that event. You don't go for anything. Yet you are sitting there. You have to attend some of these events. Okay? Very necessary. Quickly, social media for networking. So, LinkedIn, Twitter. Some of you, Twitter, you only go do concern and come back home. You go and laugh and come back. There's a lot more Twitter can do for you. There's a lot more Twitter can do for you. I realized that I'm not heavy on Twitter, but I realized that people are really signed big deals on Twitter. Why? Because of what they do there, right? One of my favorite people on social media is, I don't know if you know him. He's called Barnabas Nilai. He's called Pope. I don't know if any of you have seen him. He's on Facebook. He's very big on Facebook. If you know him, just say hi in the comment section or say yes or something. He's huge, and he's not any special celebrity or something like that, right? He just started commenting about general stuff, and that's just about it. Right now he has about 1,000 and something following likes per post, right? He signed big deals because of that. I think you can also do something like that. Engage in relevant conversations. Some of you, when you go on social media, what you write about has nothing to do with your career. It has nothing to do with your value. Nothing. So you should be quite particular about what you write on social media, right? I think you guys know about, you've heard this guy, what do you call it? This blogger that wrote some nonsense about these ladies. Yeah, I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. Nanaba Namwa and some. I mean, it almost cost him something, but Thankfully, Bongo ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, Albert.
Yes.
Not
It
hide.
almost landed him in trouble. Thankfully, Ghana, we joke a lot, so we turn it around, and then he's now become famous, and he's still nonsense. It's working for him, right? But it might not work for you. There's one I saw on Twitter. Somebody went to write. I think he was a customer for Zenith Bank, and he wrote his mind. Oh, Zenith Bank, they are blah blah blah. He wrote a lot of nonsense. 4 years down the line, he went there looking for a job. Then they showed him that tweet at the interview. He couldn't believe it. Because they were telling him, there were channels with which he could have, contributed, address his grievances. But to go and write what he wrote on there, and they even checked the bank account he had back then, it was nothing. He didn't have anything to write home about. Yet he's talking. We hear him stubborn proud. You have the time to criticize the bank, but you can't do at the interview. So they asked him, they showed him the tweet. 4 years down the road, they showed him the tweet. He could not believe it. He couldn't get the job. So engage in relevant conversation. Don't just write anything online. I am very particular about what I write online. Sometimes some of you don't write articles that you are interested in. Maybe you are not into AI, but you love AI. When was the last time you shared any article of AI on your blog post? What's the last time you shared anything about anything that you are interested in? Maybe you're not in that particular field, but you shared anything along those lines. When? What was the last time? These are things you should be doing in 2024. It will make you attractive to people in that spaces that can help you and bring financial resources to you, right? I studied marketing. I didn't do tech anywhere, anyhow, whatever. But by virtue of interest, right now I'm running an organization that does consulting for renewable energy companies in Germany that are trying to come into Ghana. When I was at Kumasi, a lot of the work we did was for tech development, building startups, and were things that I didn't really do. I didn't really study, but by interest and by sharing them and having conversation along those lines, it is helping me grow gradually. So this is something I want you to think about. My time is up, so let me just end here. Then we'll do the implementation because these are things that I'll ask questions about, and then I'll show the models, and then we are done. So thank you very much for having me, and I hope you've enjoyed the session. Margaret, over to you.